Hi everyone, Chris Meunier here. This is the video recording with an introduction to the how-to guide to QA for startups. The guide QA for startups is not just for startups. It's what to design and expect in a QA and QC program and initiative with a startup mindset, whether actually at a startup or within an enterprise corporation. Back in 2007, I went from working for a Fortune 500 company with 60,000 employees to working with a startup with approximately 12 employees. I went into their office for 3 days initially. The first day was spent getting to know people and some of the dynamics of the problem they were trying to solve for with their line of products and platform. The second day was focused on testing and trying and playing around with the products using various combinations of experiences. And the third day included a presentation to the two principals on what I believed was strategically needed with regard to testing, QA, policy, and customer service and support. It was more or less a gap analysis. Surprisingly, to me, they asked if I was up for the task and actions I had presented. That's when I started my time with startup companies. From that single company, through referral and word of mouth, I was introduced to a number of other individuals and companies over the years and worked with them. I did very little to no marketing, and the marketing I did do didn't yield much in results as far as business contracts and revenues. Referrals provided the business and revenue to my consulting work. About halfway through this experience with startups and consulting work, around 2012, I came to realize that not much had been provided on how to run a QA QC program at a startup. This can be attributed to a few varied reasons and intents and investments. But suffice it to say, all the QA testing educational resources assumed a certain size of a company with a certain employee base, revenue, or service levels. So in 2012, I started writing a QA4Startups guide. This guide was, I thought, completed in 2014 and ready for publishing. However, I went on to keep contributing to the guide until the fall of 2020. Now that I've provided some background, let's get into the reasoning and objective to creating the guide and an overview, then an introduction, and end with a summary of the QA4Startups guide. First, let me read some quotes that I think place a context for the why QA startups is essential to the software development and delivery mindset. Innovation is anything but business as usual. For every minute spent organizing, an hour is earned. The Pareto principle, also known as the 80-20 rule, states that for many events, roughly 80% of the effects come from 20% of the causes. You're always paying for quality, whether you realize it or not. That's a quote I created and have used many, many times. Quality is as quality does. This quote is probably the one I've said more times than any other over the years and have included in presentations. In fact, everything we know is only some kind of approximation because we know that we do not know all the laws as yet. Therefore, things must be learned only to be unlearned again or more likely to be correct. Richard P. Feynman in his book, 6 Easy Pieces. This is not a quote, but a concept and is a way to see new learnings from the start. Shoshin is a word from Zen Buddhism meaning beginner's mind. It refers to having an attitude of openness, eagerness, and lack of preconceptions when studying a subject, even when studying at an advanced level, just as a beginner would. This was taken from Wikipedia. The QA4Startups guide aims to offer software quality assessment guidance and measures geared to the uniquely special characteristics commonly inherent within a startup, both preventative and detective, to ensure and improve toward the result of productizing better quality software to benefit in the highest levels with the establishment and maintenance of an efficient and effective testing management and communication protocol with executives, product managers, testers, developers, and engineers. And to my fellow colleagues and teams introducing quality in the startup software development environment, this is a guide that I have been assembling for the past several years on how I personally start and or continue software quality assurance, also known as SQA, practices successfully within a startup software company. And its projects very pragmatically, yet practically, to implement test coverage and rigor on both the workflow process and for the output product while handling the bug defect detection and reporting to fix resolution status. As far as I'm aware, I'm only one of probably less than 30 people on this planet devoted to quality management within small startups. In other words, I'm one of the few stooges who have a passion for quality assurance and want to work within a startup environment and the amazing development teams. The intent of this guide is to share with others the various ways SQA can work successfully within a startup, efficiently and effectively, while all along providing value and risk aversion in the development and improvement of the end product for the user audience experience, whether partners, customers, or clients. Found within this guide and the topical notes at the end are common and contextual practices for implementing QA for startups, with explanations of methods to understand and optimally handle software management within a startup project environment. Thank you for your participation in making software better. And now for a formal introduction. Quality assurance, the assurance of quality in a product, is not always affordable nor reasonable initially within a startup project due to a variety of factors. Startup organizations wishing to implement QA, or specifically quality management techniques and practices, can identify areas where testing the output and the process to that output would benefit by the introduction of a slightly more structural approach in testing to ensure that the product objective and that the productivity of QA and QC are successfully valued. Otherwise, in fact, it might not be the appropriate time yet to implement QA into a startup project. The purpose of the guide is to provide software quality assessment guidance and measures, both preventative and detective, to ensure and improve toward the result of productizing better quality software under the special characteristics commonly inherent within a startup project, which will benefit in the highest levels by the establishment and maintenance of an efficient and effective testing management and communication protocol with executives, product managers, testers, developers, and engineers. The audience for this guide is specifically within startup software companies and projects, primarily quality managers, QA testers, product managers, and project managers. Generally, any individual participating in a startup project such as executive management, stakeholders, dev managers, and engineering. Technically speaking, let me cover the use of QA and quality management terms and their scope in this guide. QA, quality assurance, is a term broadly applied under an umbrella of various tasks and varied expectations, and the term may carry different definitions in the understanding by and expectations and experience of others. More than a decade ago, the phrase quality management, in line with project management, product management, network management, software management, etc., was coined to more accurately create an encompassing way to describe all the quality activities such as, but not limited to, quality assurance, quality control, quality strategy, quality analysis, quality planning, quality policy, quality system, quality program, quality objectives, quality requirements, quality compliance, and quality reporting. And additionally speaking, technically, allow me to review QA and quality management terms used in this guide. For purposes of this guide, quality assurance and quality management are interchangeable and both will mean the encompassing term representing the management of quality processes, tasks, and outputs, including testing and tests. Since the term QA is more common referencing the core purposes of software testing and overall management of various components often expected, which implies more of an overall quality management to be employed, QA will be more commonly used throughout this document and this guide, but is really more along the lines of QA, QM, as that would be best the umbrella term covering quality. Throughout this guide, QA can also be used to refer to the role or person fulfilling the duties of QA and QM, like a quality analyst, a tester, or a quality manager. So before continuing on, here are some questions to ask yourself. Do you like to test and participate in improving innovative software products in a startup environment? Do you want to know more about how to apply and implement SQA practices in a startup environment? Are you on a limited budget yet need to employ and leverage SQA practices to build a software product? Do you need to ensure that technical teams are following SQA practices for most optimal quality output? Do you have a desire to produce better quality software for the end user experience leveraging non-heavy SQA? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then let's continue on, please. Some of the noteworthy scenarios this guide will help with are QA testers and quality managers performing first or second round of quality testing and management on projects in startup organizations. A product manager performing testing to ensure quality on projects in a startup organization. Executive management needing test guidance for product manager until QA testers can be brought in. Any parties participating within a startup project organization supporting the requirement to keep pace and not to slow down or inhibit product innovation and momentum while assuring quality and testing coverage, especially when team members are located in multiple locations and communications are key to project success. So in summary, this guide presents fundamental, low-level, how-to knowledge for those performing software quality assurance, SQA, and control, and other aspects under the quality management umbrella as needed, specifically applied in and on startup projects which have a unique nature as innovative projects and their relationship by association with quality management and on-demand testing coverage by using a codified and cohesive foundation of practices and templates to prevent and detect issues regarding software quality, output, and process for the benefit of the stakeholders, executive management, the product and development managers, the team of engineers, customer support, other members of the project team, and the end user. Click to subscribe or check back for upcoming video recordings as we go through the guide. Again, thank you very much for your participation in making software better.